Live, trance, and prosper. Hi, I'm Dr. David Phillips, and welcome to Speech Purposes. Now, this is Wednesday, and so on Wednesdays, we're having a series of question and answer things. This is our tips and tricks session. Today, we're going to speak a little bit about speech purposes. I got asked a question via email from Davis Leo asking, how do I distinguish between my audience and my purpose? And that got me thinking, oh, speech purposes. As regular viewers, regular readers, regular participants in my YouTube channel, my blog, and all that other stuff that I do, as you already know, I am an associate professor at National Zhengzhou University, Guoli Zhengzhou Dashi in Taipei, Taiwan. Ni hao ma. And I teach in the English department, but I teach critical thinking, critical theory. I teach communication, public speaking. I teach a lot of stuff, and I've been teaching public speaking and communication since before I came to Taiwan. We're getting close to 3 decades of this stuff. And so I've gone over this many times with lots of folks. So let's go over some general concepts of speech purposes. Before you speak to other people, before you communicate, you really need to settle down. What exactly is your purpose? Essentially, there are several different types of public speaking, and each has a separate purpose. Now, this is a misnomer, actually, because there is some leeway in between here. But the first type, the general type we usually think of, is speaking to entertain. And that's a speech that's only given to gain and keep the audience's attention, to entertain them. That's like a movie that you go to and it's really funny, it's a lot of fun, and then after you leave, it's like, okay, that was done. It doesn't usually have a huge impact upon you, and that the purpose is just to entertain you. It's no big deal. Now, this is a little interesting thing in that, see, I have a BA, MA in theater and communication, and in my theater work, we usually think of theater. You usually think of theater, television, film, performances as just to entertain, as light entertainment. Now, Bertolt Brecht said there's no such thing as just entertaining. He said the actual purpose of theater is always to educate. I disagree, because there's some stuff out there that doesn't really educate, it doesn't uplift me, but it does give me a really good belly laugh. And I've got a big belly, and so that's a lot of laugh. So, speaking to entertain, your purpose is to focus in and entertain folks. You get their attention, hello, and you maintain that through entertainment. Now, the next purpose of public speaking might be speaking to inform, and that's what most people are most familiar with. By now you've probably heard a classroom lecture, or you've listened to a documentary, or you've gone somewhere where the person's sole purpose seemingly is to inform you. Now, I'm gonna tell you something that might not be all there for you. It might create some cognitive dissonance. Your teachers in school, elementary school, junior high, high school, university, and beyond, their educational goals are to educate you, and part of that is to give speeches to inform. But here's the thing: we choose what information to present. Newspaper journalism, television journalism, they have this idea of journalistic ethics where we are informed and unbiased. There is a technical term in communication studies for this: Bullshit. You're always biased to some degree. We choose how to present the information. Now, some news media, hello little foxy, or MSNBCs. Some news media are absolutely, completely, and totally the opposite of unbiased. They claim to be biased journalists in many cases, but they're not, because they color how they present their information. Now you, hopefully, yay, your goal is, when you're informing, is to inform, to educate. That's my goal right now. I'm educating some of you. Some of you already know this stuff and are just interested in watching the insane man talk. But many of you are here because you're after the information. And my goal is to get you that information. And in speaking to inform, I make some choices. I choose how to structure my message. I choose what language to use to present that, and whether or not to color information that I don't want through. Just today, I read a piece in the newspaper, one of the completely and totally unbiased news sources I read. It's an incredibly biased news source, but I still read it because I happen to agree with their biases. But they had a piece about some protests in one of the U.S. states regarding the changes in how textbooks would be presented. The Education Board decided that they would only teach history texts. They would only include information that reinforced the idea of good citizenship. So they wouldn't have anything about civil disobedience or rebellion or things like that. That's pretty problematic, because when you look at American history, it's full of civil disobedience. What the hell do you think the Boston Tea Party was? So how do you present that without talking about rebellion? Methinks somebody had a good idea, and that is teach good citizenship, but they also have misplaced something called critical thinking in how that should be presented. But be that as it may, we've got speaking to inform, we have speaking to entertain. Now, our third general style or purpose in speaking is speaking to persuade. And that's what a lot of the folks who watch my channel are interested in. They're interested in influence studies, things like that. And this is the sort of speaking to persuade, is the sort of speech that's intended to change attitudes or behaviors of an audience. You want to know more about that stuff, make sure you watch the piece I did in my YouTube channel on Maslow's hierarchy of needs or motives, as well as the Rokeach material, as well as a whole bunch of stuff on influence. There, just click on the old video stuff and just view the bejeepers out of that stuff, okay? But speaking to persuade, we want to change attitudes, values, beliefs, behaviors. Now, sometimes we have something in communication called overlapping purposes. My purpose right now is to inform you, to go over these concepts, these ideas, and hopefully help you make good choices about what your purpose is when you speak. But sometimes those purposes are overlapping in that I want to entertain, but I also want to educate. Or I want to educate and entertain. Edutainment. And actually, for me, if I'm giving a lecture at the university, or I'm presenting a paper, or one of my hypnosis trainings, or even one of my sermons at the church, I overlap my purposes all the time. I find humor is a nice way of focusing attention. So sometimes a lecture for me isn't just an informative lecture, it's also a stand-up comedy routine. But we may have overlapping purposes, and it's important for you to self-identify what those purposes may be. Sometimes speakers have hidden agenda. That is, I go to a presentation and I might say, today my purpose is to inform you. But really underneath that, my purpose is really to persuade you along certain ideals, values, and behaviors. Now, I might have a hidden agenda. It's completely above board in that I'm following the quintillion paradigm. If you don't know what that is, watch previous videos. But I want to help you. But sometimes people are, okay, here's the deal. If most of my audience members are smokers and they enjoy smoking, and I want to persuade them to stop that filthy habit, coming out with an opening like this, today I'd like to inform you about the dangers of smoking. We all know smoking is hazardous to your health, and only a complete and total moron would still smoke. If I came out like that, the smokers in my audience, even though they might secretly agree with me, they're going to stop listening to me. Instead, they're going to start thinking things like this. Well, I know you are, but what I am, well, what am I? You're just a big dummy. You don't know what you're talking about. If I am speaking to, let's say I was giving a presentation here in Taiwan to folks who are predominantly members of the Chinese Nationalist Party, or KMT members, and I come out and say, why, everyone knows that Taiwan independence is important, and the Greens know exactly what they're doing. Most of the folks in that audience are going to turn me off and start instead thinking about things in their head to rebut me. And so if you really want to persuade others, hitting them, if they predominantly agree with you, they can just come on out and say, yeah, Mom, apple pie, national pride, flag waving, hot dogs, and banana splits, and all the other tropes and concepts and cliches you like. But if you know predominantly your audience disagrees with your position, realistically, a short speech is not going to change their ideas about it. You're not going to shift a intensely conservative Republican in the United States to become an uber liberal Democrat in a 4-minute commercial. It isn't going to happen. But you can persuade them to shift their opinions slightly. And that can happen because when we look at psychographics, we look at two things, psychographics and demographics. The demographics is what groups do people belong to? Are you male? Are you human? Are you female? Are you Catholic, Buddhist, Satanist, or a worshiper of the giant spaghetti monster? Are you a Discordian? Hail Eris, all hail Discordia. Or are you an atheist, an agnostic? Your belief systems are a group you belong to. Are you a smoker, a non-smoker? These are demographics which might affect generally how we present to people. Psychographics is how they feel about things. That's their value sets. And those value sets, those attitudes, values, and ideas, they can be shifted along a Likert scale. Likert scales, 1 to 6, very much disagree, kind of disagree, I am neutral to this idea, oh gosh, I kinda like that, absolutely must agree. Okay, that strong Likert scale. We got a strong guy here. We're not going to jump all the way over here. All right, we're not atom ant. Boom, boom, boom. But we shift slightly to strongly disagree, from strongly disagree to disagree, or even neutral. So that's why you would have a hidden agenda perhaps. In a presentation or a speech, you might state your purpose, and that could be your thesis, or it could be your concepts. Essentially, for our purposes, there are three major speech purposes, types of speeches you might give: entertainment, information raising, and of course, persuasion. Now, there are other contexts for giving a public speech. Things such as spirituality. You go to church, that has a little entertainment. Praise the goddess, praise the Monkey King, praise whoever you believe and worship in. It has a little bit of entertainment factor. It has informative factors. Mostly it's persuasive in nature, but some folks would say, well, yeah, but church is about spiritual growth and introspective understanding. Sure, okay, let's go with that. So a speech in that context may have elements of the other purposes, but it's going to apply them. This is really an overlapping purpose context with some other things going on. Either way, that's it. Those are your three general types: entertainment, information raising, persuasion. Okay, now I hope you have enjoyed this presentation. I'd love to hear from you. Let me move this out of my way. It's in the way right now. Ow! I'd love to hear from you. Please be sure to click like on the video and to leave comments. If this is your first time here on my YouTube channel or wherever, be sure to click subscribe, because then you can come back and get all sorts of cool stuff. We're starting a regular series. We're going to have Tuesdays. We're going to look at news and a few rants and raving from yours truly. Wednesdays, this is where we have the tips and tricks and Q&A from you. That's where your comments and questions really do help us, because if you've got a comment, I might pull yours, might be the one that I respond to next. Thursdays is trance time. That's a special day. It's special in that I'll guide you through an actual experiential trance material experience. Now, every month we have webinars. We've got lots of stuff coming on. We really want to hear from you, so please do comment, ask questions, or just interact with us. Let us know you're watching and you enjoy. And because we've got regular stuff coming for you, be sure to hit subscribe and like, because that's important. That's how we know. That's how we know these videos are helpful to you. That's also, your comments help us know what sort of videos you'd like to see. So do that now. Check out all the other cool stuff we have available to you. Go to my site and do all sorts of neat stuff. Until next time, live trance and prosper. Bye-bye.